Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wave Podcast. I'm your host, Cade Meadows, and you may be familiar with my voice from the old podcast, but this is the new and improved podcast where we'll be covering football, basketball, and WWE. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Our first topic will be the reaction to the Super Bowl, which is holy crap. I did not expect the Kansas City Chiefs to come out there and look like the way that they did. They look like a freaking 2-win team compared to a 15-win team. It was nuts. Never have I seen a 15-win team come out there and be so unprepared, so unenthusiastic to jump all over the other team. But credit to the Philadelphia Eagles, their defense was ready. Their defense knew how to stop Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs offense. They sent pressure. Even when they only sent like 4 guys, they were still getting back there to Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if that's the defense or the O-line of the Kansas City Chiefs, but you could just tell in this game, just by watching it, Kansas City wasn't ready. They were not ready for that rush defense every single time. Coming at Pat. Pat was, dare I say, the worst player on the field. He was awful. Back-to-back interceptions, one of them going for a pick six, looking very uncomfortable out there, couldn't go through his reads. It was just the Patrick Mahomes that we're not used to. And for him to look like that on the grandest stage, it's going to put a stain on his legacy, but I'll still have him as the second greatest quarterback of all time. But he wasn't even the best quarterback out there. Jalen Hurts looked like Patrick Mahomes, if you know what I mean. He did throw that one interception, which, I mean, when you look back at it, his O-line didn't even guard the dude that was coming through. I want to say it was Karlaftis that was coming through. But, I mean, you can't even blame it on Jalen. He just threw it up there and hoped and prayed that somebody was up there to grab it. But it was actually Cook that got it. So, good for him, I guess. That's probably the only good play that the Kansas City Chiefs secondary had. But Jalen Hurts played amazingly. I mean, obviously, he should have won MVP. And I really thought coming into this game that the only way that the Philadelphia Eagles was going to be able to win this game was from the rushing attack. Now, obviously, the X factor into their offense was the passing game, but in order to set up the passing game, you got to rush. They didn't rush very well. The passing game was their bread and butter. The Kansas City Chiefs defense, their secondary was looking awful. They looked like barbecue chicken out there. It didn't matter who was on who. McDuffie could have been on Jahan Dotson, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I mean, my gosh, it was terrible. It was like deep ball after deep ball after deep ball, and Philly was just having their way with the Kansas City defense. And honestly, I think it's the most impressive win that we have seen in the Super Bowl era by any team. This is probably one of the most talented teams that we have seen in the Super Bowl in a very long time, outside of the Patriots that went undefeated and lost to the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. But this team, to me, was just ready. They were ready for anything that Kansas City threw at them. They were ready for anything that came in their way. I mean, my gosh, it was a straight up beatdown from the minute they started the game. They did not let up at all. I mean, at one point it's 34-0. And before then, Zach Bond had an interception. I'm like, all right, that's it. They're done. Kansas City's done. Even after the pick six from Cooper DeJean, I was like, all right, it's 17-0. If Kansas City can score here, they'll be in a good position. because they get the ball at the second half. I mean, you would have thought that Kansas City just didn't know how to play football in this game. Now, granted, the final score ended up being 40-22, but that was not how this game went. The game was over by the start of the third quarter. Like, it was bad. But I think the way that Kansas City can bounce back from this is building in the trenches. Both sides of the ball. You need better O-line. You need some more rushes. Now, Karlaftis and Chris Jones are good players. Don't get me wrong. But you need to go into this draft and look for that other rush, or at least the free agency. Look for that other rush guy to help those two. Because when you only got two players that can rush the quarterback and try to put pressure on him, it's not going to work out. Philly had like 3 or 4 guys back there at all times during this game, and it was evident that they was just disrupting Patrick Mahomes and disrupting whatever they wanted to do on the offensive side. But back to Jalen Hurts. Is Jalen Hurts a top 5 quarterback? I've been thinking about this for this episode, for episode 1. You can make the argument that Jalen Hurts is a top 7 quarterback. I don't know if he's top 5 yet. I think it goes Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Jackson, and Herbert. That's my opinion. And then right behind Herbert, I would have Jalen Hurts. And don't get me wrong, Jalen Hurts played like the best quarterback in the league on this game. And he did that last time he was in the Super Bowl. I mean, he didn't play like the best quarterback, but he played an amazing Super Bowl the first time he saw Kansas City. It's like the lights, when the lights are brightest, that's when Jalen Hurts shows up, and that's what you want out of your franchise quarterback. But I think top 7 is a perfect spot for Jalen Hurts. And when you look at the numbers, they don't pop out as top 7. 2,903 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 65.6 is a QBR rating, which was top 10. It's not bad. But the other stats, I mean, he finished 20th in yards, in passing yards. He finished 20th in passing touchdowns. I mean, he was bottom in interceptions. I mean, he barely even threw the ball. But still, even his rushings this year, 630 is actually pretty good. I ain't even gonna lie, that was pretty good. That was actually pretty good. I'd take it back. Those rushing yards for a quarterback are actually pretty good. I think Jalen Hurts needs to have an MVP year in order to be in consideration for MVP or for top 5. But the way that this man played on the Super Bowl, it's got everybody talking, and that's what you want out of a quarterback. As a quarterback, you want to be able to talk about your performance and how well you did. I mean, Jalen Hurts, you could just tell in this man's face, just going into the game, he was ready. He was ready the minute that ball was hiked to him. We all know Jalen Hurts doesn't show emotion at all, unless it's after the game and it went his way. But you could just tell from the minute that this game started, oh, he was ready. He wanted revenge, and he got it. The way that I think that Philly can continue this dominance is when they got to re-sign Becton and Bond in this offseason. I think that has to be their top 2 priorities in trying to make sure that this team is still relevant after this. Well, not relevant, but still contending after this Super Bowl win, because last time we saw Philly win the Super Bowl, they had the Super Bowl hangover, and it was bad. Like, they were one of the worst teams in football after the Super Bowl hangover. It was just awful. But I think what they need to do is bring back Zach Bond, who was an all-pro, this year in Mekhi Becton, who played an amazing game. When the pass rush came, Mekhi Becton, sorry, tongue twister, he stood 10 toes down and made sure that nothing was getting to Jalen Hurts. Even when Jalen Hurts got pressured, it did not matter. Mekhi Becton was there to help out his quarterback. And that is the type of guy that you need on the O-line. I think that is the one thing that Kansas City needs, is that one guy that can hold down the fort even when the pressure is coming. Now, sure, they got Tooney, they got Humphrey, but they're all right. They're okay. They're good players, don't get me wrong. But Kansas City needs to go out in either free agency or the draft and get a good O-line presence. So, yeah, that's my Super Bowl reactions. Let me know in the comments if you think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. And if you do, give me your argument why. Now let's go into the next topic. So, if you can't tell, I am a LeBron fan. And 2 weeks ago was the craziest NBA trade deadline that we have ever seen in our whole entire lives. This will probably be the greatest trade deadline ever. LeBron definitely got probably his best teammate that he's had in a very long time outside of Dwayne Wade. Luka Doncic, I cannot believe I'm about to say this, is a Los Angeles Laker. Never in my life did I think that Luka Doncic would be anywhere else but Dallas. This man got traded to Los Angeles. It wasn't even the day of the trade deadline. He just got traded there because, actually, let me talk about the Mavericks ownership. This has to be the stupidest decision that they have ever made in the franchise history. What are you doing trading a 25-year-old phenom that just led you to the NBA Finals? It just doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense. And their reasoning was this man's condition was awful, his defense is terrible, and we think we need to move in a different direction defensively. What? You're telling me that a 25-year-old phenom who gives you 30 a night on a good night, on a great night, he's giving you at least 50. You're more worried about him giving you defense than you are just letting the man do what he's got to do on the court. If you're so worried about defense, surround him with defenders. Oh, wait, you did last year. That's how you made the NBA Finals, because you had defenders around Luka who not only could defend, but could knock down a shot too. I think there's more to it than what's being said, because there's no way those two decisions were the reason why he got traded. There's just no way. Nico Harris has to have something out for Luka. Like, Luka had to have done something to him to, be like, hey, we're trading you. And not only did they trade him, they only talked to one person, the Lakers. They only talked to the Lakers for him because they wanted Anthony Davis. So if you're worried about somebody's conditioning and somebody's availability, why are you going out and trading for Anthony Davis? No disrespect to Anthony Davis, but it's like almost every other season, this man has a lengthy injury that keeps him out for like 50 plus games. What are we doing here? Just say you don't like the guy. Just say it. Just say you don't like Luka. You didn't like Luka when you first got him. So just say you just don't like him. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, this man is averaging 27, 8, and 7.5 with good efficiency. I mean, he's banged up right now, and that's why he didn't have good back-to-back games. But I think this stretch in the All-Star weekend is going to help him get healthier and getting back to where he needs to be. But even then, sure, he's a little banged up. Wait. You sit and wait for your superstar to get better. That way you can make a push to the playoffs. You don't just trade him because you don't like his conditioning or the way that he plays the game, because you rather have defense on your side than you would phenomenal offense and phenomenal productivity. It makes no sense. No sense whatever. Like, I'm looking at a picture of Luka Doncic in a Laker uniform, and I don't believe it. I still don't believe it. Even after the 2 games that he's played, I still don't believe that Luka Doncic is a Los Angeles Laker. So with the Mavericks organization, what does this mean for you? Sure, you went out and made a win now trade, but now Anthony Davis is hurt, and he's going to be out for an extended period, like we all thought would happen. So now you're going back to the drawing board. Not only is Anthony Davis, not only is he out, but Daniel Gafford's out now. Now, Gafford, I don't think he's going to be out as long as Anthony Davis is. But now you have no big man. So you're kind of like in the same position that Lakers are in, even after they signed Alex Lynn, which, cool, whatever. But Dallas, what are we doing here? What are we doing? It seems to me that Dallas just is trying some. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's as good as I can give it. I don't know. Because when you look at it through Dallas's perspective, it literally makes 0 sense whatsoever. And I know I've said that 1,000 times already now, but it just does. It makes no sense. Luka Doncic should not be on the Los Angeles Lakers right now, and that's coming from a LeBron fan. This just adds years to LeBron's career now. LeBron can coast and just sit and wait, until his body's like, all right, it's time to give it up. But now that might be another 3 to 4 years, because Luka's going to be in town. Luka's going to take the offensive responsibility other than LeBron, who's been, by the way, one of the best three-point shooters this year in the NBA. He's very lethal from the arch. He's been a great mid-range shooter too. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but he's gotten better this year at 40 years old. LeBron has gotten better, and he's adapted to the game. For the Lakers, I'm not talking about the Mavericks anymore. I'm so mad at them. It makes no sense. Anyway, what this means for the Lakers now is that they actually have an identity. Instead of them just being like in the middle of, we're going to be a good defense, but we're also going to be a good offense. We're kind of like in the middle. This team is going to be an amazing offense. There's going to be a ball handler on the court at all times with either Reeves, Doncic, or LeBron. In the first game, you saw that JJ was managing both LeBron and Luka, and at all times, either LeBron or Luka were on the field. And that's just amazing. When you can have very intelligent players on the same team, and you can have at least one of them on the court at all times, I mean, it just opens up the playbook for you. The only bad thing about the Lakers is the Mark Williams trade didn't go through. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, sure. They don't have a center now. I mean, their best center right now is Jackson Hayes, which is he's okay. He's not a starting center in the league, but he's all right. He's perfect. He's kind of like the perfect guy for LeBron and Luka. He's just a lob threat. He's going to catch a lot of lobs. He's going to be an okay defender. I think the signing of Alex Lynn is a good signing for sure. But this year I'm not expecting them to win the finals. I'll just go ahead and say that. This year I expect them to make it to the Western Conference Finals, but I don't expect them to win the finals because, first of all, you either got to play the Bucks or the Celtics. You got to play one of those two. And you ain't beating neither one of those two. I'm not expecting this team to win the finals, especially with the roster that they have right now. Obviously, they need to go into this offseason and get a better big man. But you either got to play Denver, OKC, and if you can get through those two, then you're going into the finals against the Celtics or the Bucks, who have all four of them have height advantage overall over this team. So I'm not expecting them to win the finals this year like some people are. They are going to make it to the Western Conference Finals. I don't have a doubt in my mind, which means they got to beat either Denver or OKC. But whoever they beat, they're probably going to lose to the other person. But, man, I still can't believe it. I still cannot believe that the Los Angeles Lakers have Luka Doncic. Their future is probably the brightest in the league now. All they have to do is just build around Luka, and it's not that hard to do. I mean, you already have Dorian Finney-Smith, Rui Hachimura, Dalton Connect, who's not a good defender, but he can knock down a shot if you need him to. I mean, Austin Reeves, Jared Vanderbilt, who's kind of like the same way as Mark Williams. He's not available all the time. I mean, you've already got guys here. You can just continue to build on after that. Now going to another team with an aging star and who also made a big trade at the trade deadline, the Golden State Warriors traded for Jimmy Butler. Now, do I think this puts them in contention? No. I don't think it does at all. Because sure, Jimmy can give you a lot on defensive end, but this man is probably the biggest coaster in the regular season. Like, he coasts. He's not like LeBron where, like, on a bad night he's going to give you 20. No, on a bad night this man will give you 6 points. Now, I love Jimmy Butler. I really do. But that locker room situation that's going to go on in Golden State, like, if something don't go right with one of them, you know who I'm talking about, either Jimmy or Draymond. There might actually be a full-on wrestling match that goes on. But I think Golden State needed to make this trade. They had to have somebody alongside Curry to at least create a shot. This year, Jimmy Butler's been great at the mid-range. He's been great at creating his own shot. He's a terrific playmaker. I mean, it makes sense for them to make this trade in order to keep, I wouldn't say stay in contention, but be relevant in the West. Because right now, nobody was fearing them. It was just Curry. That was the whole offense. Curry had to go out there and score as many points as he could in order to keep this offense afloat. So I think getting Jimmy Butler helps them out a lot in that aspect. I think Jimmy Butler is going to be a big part in this offense. Obviously, he's not going to be the number one guy. But if you need somebody to get hot early, I mean, Jimmy Butler's your guy. So is Curry. But you don't want to put all that pressure on Curry. You want Curry to get hot at the right time. Jimmy can get hot early. And I think that's going to help them out a lot. The other big trade that we saw was the San Antonio Spurs making a trade for De'Aaron Fox. This is going to go down as probably one of the more skillful duos that we have seen in NBA history. I know, that's saying a lot right now. But the amount of talent that this team has now with Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox, and not to mention, they've got guys around them. Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Chris Paul is still there. He's still giving you some good efficiency. Harrison Barnes, who has been a knockdown shooter this year. I mean, they still got guys. They could probably make a push for the play-in. I don't see why they couldn't make it into the play-in. They could make a push for the play-in, and I don't see why they couldn't make it into the play-in. I love this trade for San Antonio because now it sets your future straight. Hey, we're going to be contenders in the next couple of years. Wemmy's going to get even better. He'll be even better next year. He might even be in MVP conversations next year. And the fact that you got a 7-foot-plus guy that can hit 40 feet from beyond the arc, and a guy that can just run right past you as a duo, that's going to put a lot of pressure on defenses in the league. So I love this trade for the Spurs. The Kings, though, what are we doing? The best thing you got out of this trade was Zach LaVine. Now, don't get me wrong. Zach LaVine is an amazing player. But when you're trading away De'Aaron Fox, who is a top 5 point guard in this league, and you only get one pick that does not matter at all, what are we doing? You literally trade this man away for nothing. It was like you wanted to get rid of him. You didn't want him around. Kings franchise is just so cursed. I feel bad for their organization, but I feel more bad for the Dallas Mavericks organization because now their future is just it's in shambles. But I mean, hey, maybe you Kings fans and Mavericks fans can talk to each other and hug each other, try to make each other feel better because y'all ain't gonna have bright futures in the coming years. Well, I mean, at least Dallas is in playoff contention, but Kings, I'm sorry, but y'all may have to go back to the drawing board on this one because that was probably the dumbest trade I think I've ever seen. Second dumbest trade I've seen this year. First, obviously, Luka. But yeah, I mean, that's my reactions to the trade deadline, the craziest trade deadline that we've seen in ever, honestly. The NBA is actually relevant now. I think people are actually going to tune in now to see where their favorite players ended up at, see how they play there. I think the NBA is going to come back. And I think it's going to come back in a strong way. So, yeah, that's my reactions to the Luka trade and every other trade now. Let's go into the next topic. Now, you may not take me as a WWE guy, but not recently, but when I was younger, I used to watch it every Monday and every Friday, and I would even watch the Monday after a pay-per-view to see the results of the pay-per-view. That's how dedicated I was. But then as I got older, it became more stale. It became more and just not cool anymore. Became like WWE was just it was just there. Wrestling was just there. Like if you wanted to watch it, go ahead, cool, whatever. But it was never cool. Now WWE is cool. It is actually cool again. And from the Royal Rumble, I mean, well, not even from the Royal Rumble, from WrestleMania 41 on, it's just been amazing. WrestleMania 41 will probably go down as the greatest WrestleMania we have ever seen in our lives. But let's talk about last night. So last night on Friday Night SmackDown, we saw Charlotte Flair choose Tiffany Stratton as her opponent for WrestleMania because she won the Women's Royal Rumble. I don't know. I don't know if I like this. Now they either wanted Charlotte to choose Tiffany because they didn't want to see Rhea versus Charlotte again. But I think it would have been even better because I think Rhea's on Charlotte's level now. And I think she's beyond Charlotte. But I really hope with Charlotte choosing Tiffany Stratton, it's not a burial of Tiffany Stratton. Because what might happen is Charlotte might go into WrestleMania and she might walk out WrestleMania as the WWE Women's Champion. It's cool that Charlotte came back, don't get me wrong, but I really do not want to see her as Women's Champion because it just doesn't make any sense. You have not let us watch her yet, but now you're already putting her in the title spot, and she just came back. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It feels like a Vince McMahon booking, not a Triple H booking. This was a Triple H booking. I think Roxanne should have been here. In my opinion, Roxanne should have been here instead of Charlotte. I think Roxanne she's ready. She's ready for the main roster. She's ready to come up and she's ready to make an impact. That's just my opinion. But I really hope Tiffany walks out of WrestleMania as the women's champion. Because if she doesn't, then it's just, man, it's just not going to be a good night for some wrestling fans. So now let's go to the other Royal Rumble winner, Jey Uso. Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble. I love it. I think that was the most unpredictable and the most fun outcome that we have seen. Nobody thought, including me, I either thought two people were going to win this Royal Rumble. It was either going to be John Cena or CM Punk. Nowhere near did I have Jey Uso winning this. I had no idea. I was like, no. Even when he was in the final two, I'm like, Cena's going to attitude adjust him out of the ring, and bada bing, bada boom, he's going to choose Cody Rhodes. We're going to have a great WrestleMania main event, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. No. Jey Uso shocked everybody, and now he is the Royal Rumble winner. And I think he's going to choose Gunther. And I think he's going to beat Gunther at WrestleMania. Why not? Give Jey Uso the keys, man. Jey Uso has earned his right to be in this position. And to all the people that are out there that are saying that Jey Uso is the wrong decision here, you're dumb. You're dumb. Jey Uso has earned this position. He has earned it. He is so over with the crowd. Why not put him on the grandest stage of them all and let him showcase his talent? Sure, his moveset may be limited. Whatever. You know who else is limited? John Cena, CM Punk. They're limited, but they still put on good matches. And Jey Uso puts on good matches. I think Jey Uso should choose Gunther, and he should go to WrestleMania, and he should win. And then we should start the Jey Uso Mania and just write it out. Now, the other person that was in that Royal Rumble that I think that should be in the title conversation is Roman Reigns. I am kind of confused on what's going on with Roman Reigns right now. I saw a report where we're going to have a triple threat match of Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk at WrestleMania. That's cool. I like it. I do like that idea. But I think it's time to put Roman back into the title contention. I like Solo. I do. I don't think you should be in it anymore. As much as I love Jacob Fatu, I don't think he should be in it right now. Right now, next year, obviously, yes. Right now, not yet. Not yet. Roman Reigns came back for one reason, and that's to retain the title that he lost to Cody Rhodes. Now, sure, people don't want to see a third Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns main event at WrestleMania. I'm not saying it has to be the main event, but I'm just saying Roman Reigns deserves to be in the title contention because that's the only reason he came back. Well, actually, the other reason is to reclaim the tribal chief, Ulafala. But the other reason was to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So I don't understand why we're having him in this CM Punk versus Seth Rollins feud when I think CM Punk versus Seth Rollins by itself would be amazing. I mean, we saw it on Raw. Now, granted, I don't think CM Punk should have been the one that won the match, but having them two go at it at WrestleMania like a no-holds-barred match, I mean, it's just right there. It's just setting it. It's setting itself up for you. So I don't think putting Roman Reigns in that match between those two makes any sense to me. When Roman Reigns should be going after Cody Rhodes, should be going after that title. But hey, I guess that's why I'm not the booker at WWE. That's going to do it here for the Wave Podcast, Episode 1. If you liked it, go down, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, comment down below what you thought about this episode, and come back next weekend where we'll be talking about even more topics. I'll see you next weekend.